By the way, Trent, do you remember the
Yeah,
episode number?
I was just waiting for James to say hit me.
No. I understand that. I just want to make
Oh,
sure you
right.
know
Yeah,
what the
yeah.
episode number
Yes.
is, right?
Yeah. I'm not gonna mess that one up, Kevin Smith.
I love it. Here we go. Sorry, everybody. A little behind the stage for you on the Public Why Not episode 400. Look at all that effort I put into creating the wonderful imagery. All right, sorry. Here we go. In 3, 2. Oh, great. You're not hearing it. Even better.
So program on the video, but not on the audio.
Okay, but no, that's me sending you back. So you don't hear this.
Negatory Ghost Rider.
Lovely.
Neither do I.
Well, that's a story for another day.
Yeah, it's fine.
Maybe it's C. No, that one should be sending it too. It's definitely not B, but I'm going to do it anyway. And there's A, where it's everything that I get. See, everything should be working, but unfortunately, okay, look, trust me, it's just countdown in 5 seconds.
Yeah, I've got the cadence.
Okay, so here we go. In 3, 2.
Episode 400.
Typical geek. Giving you the info you need to achieve mega nerd status. And now, here's Will and Tony.
Oh, man, it just never ceases to chap my ass that it's a tech podcast where the tech doesn't always work. Guys, let me tell you something. First of all, if you are out there, thank you for waiting and wading through all of that. We are having a blast here because, it's not very often where you not only hit one of those centurion numbers, if you will, but also that you get to have somebody who has a larger audience than you try and give you a little lift and let everyone know that you're going to do something. So first of all, I just want to come in and say, no, I don't think I am Kevin Smith level important to keep you waiting for 30 minutes. Just random circumstances, guys. The longest story short is my daughter got called over to a sleepover, and as everyone likes to say, family first, so that happened. And then, before all of that, the time I was going to be using, making sure everything worked, which, I don't know why anything would have changed because I had a perfectly fine show with Tony, but I wasn't playing any audio. The wonderful technology that I use here is the Zoom L12 mixer. And for some reason, that sorry son of a bitch decided it wanted to completely reset and lose all the settings. I'm afraid the old girl may be out, and I'm not surprised because she's been with us for at least 240 of the 400 fucking episodes of NetHeads that are happening right now. Well, not all of them, just this one.
Yeah, in a row.
Oh my gosh, is that Trent? And who else is in the room? For those that don't know, for a large number of those episodes, and believe me, I've been riding this pony for 398 episodes. There's only one I wasn't on. Trent, I should have, a more talented host would have done something along the lines of, I don't know, maybe like running up some fun, Trent, you're a trivia master, for gosh sake. So
yeah, this is true. This is true.
I should have brought up the trivial amount of information. Like I should have known the date that Tony started pitching in and helping. I should have known the number of episodes that Trent's been on, the number of episodes that Tony's been on. You know what? I think if anything you've learned within 400 episodes of NetHeads, I don't know dick.
But I'd like to think that is crowd sourceable information. Do you know
Holy
what I
shit,
mean?
we could probably
yeah.
just AI it, for gosh sakes.
Yeah.
Or you
yeah,
just
you're not
mention it
wrong.
now and somebody in the audience can say something.
Maybe, but it's not like I'm watching the entire chat. Also,
Yeah.
special shout out to No, how about the shout out to all of the wonderful people that are watching either on X or on TikTok. I'm gonna load up the old burner here so we can at least see what TikTok is saying. X always gets screwed in the deal because it's streaming out via Smodcast Network, but I can't really see
Right.
those messages. So my apologies, Corbin in Japan, for example. Thank you very much. But guys, I'm so glad. One, I'm so glad that Trent was amiable enough to saying, yeah, you know what, I don't mind if Tony's in on this, man, because he's been a part of it.
I would think essential.
Look, man, I got to be honest. I was really kind of hoping for a moment there might be some prima donna vibes going on. I was hoping.
It's like, no, if he's gonna be on there, I'm not gonna be on there.
I can't do this with him.
Yes, exactly. There we go. One of you, but no, you were both all like, oh no, that's great. Wonderful.
No, I've been super excited about this. Like, well, first of all, I do have to say, I realize, Will, with your type, I do have to do this because I feel like at this point now I can be considered part of the team.
Yeah, it's true.
Now now you're more my type because clearly this is I have been grooming these two individuals now for Lord only knows how long. I'm the world's least successful cult leader because I'm still not getting any sexual favors for this. Oh well, maybe next time.
15 years?
First of all, let's not put a number on it. Because then you start getting into how long were you also doing Radio Askew?
My brain just kind of melted a little bit thinking now.
Yes. I mean, technically speaking, I think the Smodcast Network launched in 2011. And by that time, we were already 50 some odd episodes of Radio Askew into existence. And then we were which is always a great time and a wonderful ringing endorsement when somebody says, oh, did you want to do your show on the network too? I mean, you put it together. So it's like, okay, yeah, that's great. And, I would have been more like, you're an amazing talent and we've got to have you for the network. But, I take the table scraps that I can get. But yeah, that was in 2011. I don't know the exact date. Let's just say it was sometime in like June. All I know, episode
I think it was in February, but
might have been Talking Flash Fast it couldn't have been maybe. But Talking Flash Fast was the first episode. That's what started all of this. And also a special shout out to our Patreon subscriber of the week. This one is special because this is our oldest existing patron to date, Zachary Stewart. So thank you, Zach.
Hey.
I will get you your no prize as soon as I possibly can.
I know Zach.
You do?
Well, I mean, he came through Logan once and happened to be at the Beehive Grill when I was hosting trivia.
Oh, awesome.
Didn't
well, there
say
we
a
go.
word until I saw him in the parking lot.
Oh,
I was like, wait a second, what the hell?
I'm starting to get confused between the two of you. Is there something you can do about the glasses, Tony?
Here. Is this better for you? Like,
oh yeah, that's much better.
Oh,
thank
my.
you. That's much. Oh, again,
my.
I can't handle that level of heat, sir. It's so nice to hear you guys are getting along so well. Although now I'm a little concerned about what's going on Tony's end. Well, scratch that. Let's just not even talk about. Let's not talk about Tony's end. First of all,
by the way, I just want to say I also appreciate being on the bottom.
There you go. Well,
yeah.
It's awkward enough, but hey, Trent, what did you think about that intro? Surprise, surprise.
Loved it.
Now, interestingly enough, that is the exact same guy on Fiverr who I had to go back and email and check. I hired to do the work in 2015.
And you were able to track him down still?
A decade later, I found him. Now, and I've already said on the show, you can obviously tell it's been a decade for him as well. But the funniest part was when I sent him like what he'd done before, and he's like, I did that. It sounds so weird. And I'm like, bro, it's your voice.
Yeah.
And you did all of the imaging. But one of the things you're not aware of, Trent, is that every time I play that intro now, I get scared shitless when it's not what I'm used to happening after the Parks and Rec quote.
Right.
Still.
Yeah.
So, these are the things we deal with. But by any chance, Tony, are you aware of what episode you first dropped in on? I'm figuring it's somewhere in the 300s. But
I
I
would
don't know for
I would
sure.
think so. I just know I was going back and trying to look at when I was doing the screenshot to promote for fandoms. Like I started seeing my picture and I saw like 10 months ago and I was like, holy crap, it's already been that long. Like it's been
I
a
know.
wild ride, man. Like
Oh,
can't believe
okay.
it's already happened.
It's good. I thought you'd be like, oh, it felt like 2 years. Which, you know what? Fair enough. I was trapped in some kind of loop trying to get into the... there we go. Now I can see the live and watch everybody not watching. That'll be fun. Oh, and special shout out, by the way, to Buddy the Elf as well, who also just joined as a Patreon subscriber and is going through the back catalog, so he knows very well. I told him in advance because he said, hey, Trent, let's get your reaction for this. Who won the weight loss challenge? Right, we did that, by the way.
You know, it's funny. The last time I got on the scale, I was like, oh shit, I remember taking pictures of this. That was a long time ago.
Well, that
was like 4 jobs ago.
Right? That's an entirely different world from now.
Cellularly, I think we are completely different humans.
Technically speaking, yes, I believe that would be accurate.
Yeah.
I think the science upholds that.
I'll allow it.
I appreciate it. Again, everyone, thank you. If you happen to be here from a suggestion by Kevin Smith, I'd be shocked because my anticipation is always that will never work for us. As a matter of fact, just earlier tonight, I did an episode of Fandoms with Tony. Because, yes, I'm also, not only am I pairing off with him, Trent, but I'm also stepping out on you and doing other projects with him.
You know, I'd like to think it's 2025. I'm not poly adverse in our podcasting.
It's kind of polyhostery.
Yeah, look, man, I'm not saying this
you.
has to be a regular thing. I'm just saying every once in a while, there's nothing wrong with a throuple, okay?
Yeah.
That I cleaned up the title. Originally, I had a different title for this episode, and instead, I tried to make it sound more comic book oriented and make us the trio of trouble.
Yeah.
But previously, up until moments before I clicked publish, the title was "It's Okay in a Three-Way." But I didn't want to, get accused of baiting and switching. So, also apologies on the whole being late thing, only because as well, I don't think I'm Kevin Smith. I don't mean to be disrespectful. This is why I hate promoting, and look, Trent, I hate putting in the effort.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you're just bound to be let down. Life is suffering. If the Buddhists have taught us anything.
Hey, I took 5 hours printing these. I'm putting them up, for Christ's sake.
They looked really good for the intro.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I'm
just waiting for the robots to knock them over.
I'm old. Yeah, they will, but that's part of the fun. For those of you that aren't watching and you're listening to the podcast, the album artwork shows you that I 3D printed, because this was the level of commitment I was willing to go to originally for promoting, is I 3D printed up some gold letters for or numbers to celebrate episode 400. But then Buddy the Elf on TikTok says I'm still looking for my Google Plus invite.
Oh yeah, we hit the plus hard.
Oh, and I hit so hard on the plus I went glass.
Yeah.
And that's terrifying. But this was the level of commitment I was originally going to until, as I mentioned on Fandoms, Trent, the absolute blessing and beauty of Mark Bernardin coming in at a left field when Kevin is just doing the standard thanks at the end of the episode.
Right.
And he just swoops right in and saying, and for putting off his 400th episode of NetHeads, at which point Kevin, it's like he lobbied the ball, and then Kevin just spiked it on down with plugging for this.
I mean, you do it long enough, it gets you set up and return, return.
He doesn't even remember that he plugged the show. Okay, more than likely, just because
right.
it was all muscle memory.
Exactly.
But the beautiful thing is, and I told Tony, Tony, I embellished earlier when I claimed that there was a small part of me at first that said, "Oh, that was nice." That was bullshit. The only thing that entered my mind was, "Oh, I can use this for promoting."
No, you had body language. You were like, when he started talking, you went like this. You had the
God, come on. No, it was. You look, man. When I'm playing in that sandbox, the thing that I realistically know is that absolutely no person on the line watching that show while it's going live is there for Will Wilkins. So I try and make myself sparse. Okay, I like to try and keep it Will light as much as possible to make sure. You know. Anyway, but you know, this isn't about me, guys. This is about 400 episodes of NetHeads. I'm sure, Tony, are you familiar with the backstory of Trent?
No, not all. No.
Trent, why don't you tell him? Because I love hearing this more from your perspective. The story of how you started podcasting with some weirdo in California.
Yeah. So I'm sure I just went through and followed pretty much everyone Kevin was following, because I was new to Twitter. It was a new thing, and then there was this podcast he was following called Radio Askew, and I was driving home from bowling one night, and it said the tweet went out, "Hey, gonna be on the air. Call in if you want to talk or whatever." Blah blah blah. And so I was like, "Oh shit! I got time. I can do it."
Now, if I may interject for just a moment, the thing that actually, you know what? 1 second. Hopefully nothing breaks.
Hey, he broke his headphones earlier.
Here, I should be able to find. Sorry, I know I'm yelling now. Okay, you know what? Fuck it, I can't find it. Never mind. The microphone flag that I put together for Radio Askew still is in existence in this office.
Are you serious?
Yes, it's just the shelf is an absolute shit show right now.
Oh, dude, yes.
But it was a very, I mean, it had an image in the middle of it, broadcast waves, that looked very much like a certain writer, director, actor, Kevin Smith. So I'm sure there was a small part of Trent that thought, "Oh, this might be Kevin."
Yeah, so I was kind of in like, I wasn't sure, because the only tweets that I had seen come out from it had been from like a health tracker, like a Fitbit type thing. And I replied, like I retweeted once or replied once and just said, methinks this might not be Kevin. And that was the only interaction I'd even extended prior to calling in. Yeah. But then and that was in 2010 or 10, I think. Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. And that's it. That's where we're at.
Yep. So once again, the only reason why I'm able to have the minor stepladder of success that I have is because I've once again catfished and bamboozled somebody.
I mean, it was the most passive catfish ever, though, right? There was not the gates were open for this fish to like come right on in.
Now I'm insulted, sir.
No,
how dare you?
That's for you. I'm just saying that you're. I'm here, aren't I? I'm here, aren't I?
Now, and Tony, like it's a muddied timeline for how you got involved as well. I can't obviously remember when, but the part that I do remember the most is that I believe you had popped up through TikTok on my FYP a few times, and then I started interacting with you because I was mesmerized by, of all things, you sitting there and putting together, I think, the Lego Daily Bugle set.
Yeah.
If memory serves, right?
Right over here. Yeah.
Yeah. So look at, he's got the light kit on it too, Trent. Can you believe that? And by the way, I think his head is blocking it, but not only does he have a Captain America shield on the wall, but I think there's a tiny Captain America shield in front of the Captain America
shield. There is. Okay. So,
no, I can't. Yeah, I see it.
And just so you know, Tony, the guy sitting in the box diagonal up from you is probably one of the biggest Captain America fans. And I'm not talking about like, Captain America, First Avenger. I mean like well in advance of
when
that.
Captain America throws his shiny shield.
Oh
shit, wow. Son. There we go.
See? This is what happens when you start hanging out with
You were the
elder
fan
statesmen.
before he became mainstream.
Yeah.
Dude. Yeah, Cap is my jam.
That's
and
awesome.
and one of the things too that and by the way, just so happens that I can't remember if I asked you if you wanted to do this or you asked me if I wanted to do something you were on. I don't remember which way it went.
So I was sitting here trying to think after Trent was talking. I know we were engaging back and forth on TikTok. I think we did a live together as someone because you engaged a lot during the Daily Bugle build.
Yeah.
Because then I at that point I was still streaming like gaming and stuff on Twitch. And so you were there while I was doing it, and it just kind of like built from there. And I remember because I'd work until like 11 o'clock at night during the weekdays. And so when you and Trent were doing NetHeads, I was ignoring my job and listening to you guys. I still took calls, but it was, it was simple enough. I used to have my desk in the corner, and I just remember thinking like how fun it was just seeing you guys engage. And then I remember just out of the blue, you were like, "Hey, Trent's not available. Would you mind jumping in?" I'm like, yeah, of course." So,
Which by the way, I gotta say, pretty ballsy thing. And I just mean in having the cojones to make the jump, not for the willingness to do it. Because, like, if knowing now, in these moments, actually, hearing the admission that you're like, oh no, I started listening to the podcast because of your engagement. You knew the dynamic that you were kind of stepping into and trying to become a part of, which, because honestly speaking, 400 episodes, obviously quite a few. And I'm not saying that to brag. I just mean that obviously there is something, there's a friendship between Trent and I. That's that part is true.
Yeah.
Whether it's consistent or inconsistent, it's still, these are the bonds that we've forged in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was because of the podcasting or if it was because Trent was also my willing partner. If I use any terms that are triggering to anyone, I'm sorry. I've joked about grooming. Now I'm talking about partners. I'm sorry. I'll try and be a little more conscientious with my language.
But
anyway,
that also reminds me, I just need to say this. If you're not a Patreon subscriber, you should be a Patreon subscriber, because remember, you get extra stuff, you get extra Will and Trent and sometimes me on both ends. So that just out there.
Yeah, it's basically like a NetHeads Eiffel Tower.
In this case, or a wobbly H, depends.
Or like a pancake stack.
Again, I'm sorry. But let me just take a moment, guys, to say in that amount of time doing a lot of things with a podcast or somebody else, much in the same way that we had a screwed up opening and Trent's like, no, it's all right, I've got the cadence. There is a certain subtext, a certain kind of silent language that's developed between two people because, I've been friends with and talked to Trent for so long, and he has determined every one of my narcissistic traits and knows exactly how to play to them. So that way, there's just this wonderful little thing that happens. And we develop a pattern. I often joke, but realistically speaking, I do think of it as a form of vocal jazz where I'm riffing, he's riffing, blah, blah, blah. And I will say, too, much to my relief, I apparently am bilingual since we've been able to develop our own pattern as well, Tony. So
yeah,
thank you very much for that.
No, absolutely. And it's funny though, because like, even when you asked me to be a part of this and participate, my biggest fear, and because I even when you did the intro to let me have a part of, when I'm in it, I always have to stop and say, is Trent good with this? I don't ever want to take Trent's place, because I understand the groundwork and the footwork that you guys have done making this show. And I don't ever want to ever feel like I want to just jump in, because if it's a choice of me being a part of it or me watching you and Trent, I'll watch you and Trent all day long. So just putting that out there.
Well, that makes one of us.
Thank you. You saved me from making a bad cuck joke. I appreciate
I'll just sit in the corner right now. You guys can go at it.
Oh my gosh.
Like,
Man. Oh, that was perfect. But you guys, I got to tell you too, what else is perfect? Because obviously last night I was running the show on Fat Man Beyond because, as I jokingly say, JC Reifenberg is on assignment. And so I have to admit that compared to the past several nights, I did not get to sleep at the time that I'm accustomed to because that show, much like any thought I have, goes a bit long. And I, because they plugged NetHeads, I made sure that thing got published right away. Not to mention, because it came out of here, I had everything already recorded. I didn't have to wait for any bullshit downloads or anything. So I didn't get to sleep at the time I wanted. But one of the things that I love is that I'm able to bring you guys the level of focus and energy I am right now because of this beautiful little bottle right here.
Oh my.
I don't know if you see this, but this here is Magic Mind, which has the wonderful citrus flavoring in their mental power booster shot right here. It's got the cordyceps mushrooms, the cordyceps. It's got the lion's mane mushroom. I always remember the mushrooms because I love mushrooms, because I am a fun guy. And the thing that I love about it is that not only does it taste good, but like seriously speaking, what I've begun doing to help sustain myself into the evening lately is that I have my morning cup of coffee later in the morning. I'll have it at 11 o'clock. And then around 1 or 2 o'clock, I'm going to have myself my shot of Magic Mind. And I don't know what there's something about it in the way that the receptors of the brain work where certain things get blocked. So it's not that you're not tired. It's just the cognition of tired is severed.
Totally. It's like you could take like a 5-hour energy and maybe stay awake, but what's the quality of that awakeness? This is a whole different like level of functionability while being awake.
And somehow this helps carry out, but also proactively cure the function of caffeine to help extend it to not only also give you mental clarity and mental energy. I mean, it's great mental health. So on those days where I'm not necessarily drinking it with my coffee in the morning, you got to adjust your lifestyle. And the great thing is this rolls with the punches. Now, let me tell you something. If you go to the link in our description, which is magicmind.com/netheadlt20, you can get up to 20% off one purchase or up to 48% off on a subscription. And the reason why I bring that up, boys, the whole reason why I'm talking Magic Mind, this is what a 30-day supply looks like right here. You know, the kids used to love the unboxing videos, so we're going to unbox it. And what you get in this wonderful, blessed package.
Yeah, it was sealed.
It was.
This is an actual opening of said sealed box.
I call him Stabby. I don't get blocked on TikTok. I want to show you guys. So it's the two boxes, right? That makes sense. But
okay.
For once, I'm going to take the boxes out because look at the brand recognition on that packaging.
Yeah.
Every bit of it is serving the cause. Magic meets science at magicmind.com/netheadlt20. It's not magic, it's you. Oh my God! I want to kiss this box.
I was just gonna say that's beautiful.
I mean, I want that box to talk to my wife and give it some tips. Give her some tips on how to make me feel nice. That was wonderful, right? And then right here, that's 15 out of the 30. Boom.
Oh shit!
So I don't just talk about it, guys. I walk the walk. I talk the talk. I got myself a monthly subscription as well, and it is the best. It's the best thing that money can buy because I do not have those days where I'm dragging ass, complete sense of dread because my mind isn't working and I got shit to do, right?
Yeah.
No. Magic Mind. Again, magicmind.com/netheadlt20 for up to 20% off a single purchase or up to 48% off debt subscription, which you saw right there. That's all I'm saying.
Up to 48, did you say?
Yeah, 48%.
You know
what? And not to mention, here's the other secret, guys. If you got yourself one of them fancy jobs where you got the FSA or the HSA,
yeah. Can I put this on my Wex card?
You can do that, and now you're using tax-free dollars right?
Dude, sign me up.
There we go.
I just got mine in the mail. I might be doing that.
I can't. That thing you're doing, Trent. I can't do that.
I don't know.
Is
You
there a
probably can't
trick
hear
to
it.
Right, but you're doing the bro snap.
Yeah.
See, at least that's what I think of it as now after the episode of The Good Place where Dax Shepard was on there from the toxic masculinity group.
Yep.
Oh God, dude, I don't know. Maybe it's showing signs of wear because we're at episode 400. But Trent, Tony, in case I didn't mention, first the mixer decided to just forget all of its settings today. It just said, you know what, we're good. You don't need to worry about anything because it's just not going to work. And then, right before I go to do Fandoms with Tony, my headphone breaks. The back pops off and it starts coming apart. I got of all things I don't have in here, no crazy glue, not a drop of it. It's all out there. Don't have the toxic chemicals in an enclosed space.
No gaff tape.
Well, that would look kind of tacky on the air.
Yeah, no, true.
Bro.
In the air, yeah, and Val Point. Yeah.
The whole point is they're supposed to be discreet.
Right.
Instead, I look at what is that going on? What is it? He thinks he's a Uhura now? What is this? So that happened, and then the whole thing with my daughter and the sleepover. I'm just like, every bit of everything that should have been easy about today. Because I mean, we rolled into this bitch fully as much as you can without spending money. Like fully publicized this episode. Okay, I mean we put it out there more than we've ever done it, and let me tell you something. That water's cold. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So
we've never put out so much.
So realistically speaking, also my apologies. I did have a funny thought though in the car while I was coming back from dropping my daughter off from her sleepover, and that was the fact that I wonder, are those guys just like sitting in the Zoom, just like looking at each other while I'm not there? You know, just like this. Not saying anything. What's going on? Thankfully I discovered that until I started the meeting, you weren't like talking to another.
Will, I just want to pop in here because of my neuro spiciness. I had to figure something out because it's been on my mind for a while. And you mentioned the Zoom mixer, right? Which has been kind of bulletproof until now, right? It's been really good. Different company from Zoom, the software for which we are speaking to each other.
Oh yeah, different. You see, this has been a point of contention now for a little bit of time for me, Trent.
Yeah.
There is the video conferencing company, Zoom.
Zoom, correct.
The room of Zoom.
Yes.
Up in our boom boom. But then there is an audio company.
Yes.
That is Zoom.
Yes.
Also, and it's spelled the exact same way.
Yes. One is a Japanese-based tech company that focuses on audio hardware.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the one we're talking on right now.
Right, which, by the way, I don't want anything to happen to, because in case you haven't noticed, there's a bit of talk about, tariffs on things coming from places.
Yeah.
So much in a panic, Trent, I kid you not, I bought a second 3D printer.
Anything so with microchip. Yep.
Yeah, I got, because I'm like, you know what? I can put it to use. I've had experiences where I can monetize it, and if nothing else, if something happens to one, I got parts for another.
Yep,
kind
smart.
of thing.
Smart.
And so I'm not wanting this thing to be going the way of the dodo because I don't want to be replacing, which I think last time I looked, it was like a $600 unit, but it does.
Because even if you bought something that was, say like Rolls, right? Rolls makes a lot of great audio hardware stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But there are no microchip foundries in the United States. At all.
Yeah.
That doesn't exist.
It's not our scene. There was supposed to be one and it never happened.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So
I think an entire community was decimated because of it.
Yep. Yeah. So
Wait, but who put together that deal? Never mind.
It doesn't mean
Doesn't mean look.
Voldemort.
Not gonna take away my guns. See there. I stole your line. Sorry. Look. After this many episodes, I think I'm entitled to one
it's
little
fine.
one, right?
It's A-okay. I love Carl's Jr.
Excellent. Oh man.
Dude.
So that brings me to probably, actually no, it doesn't bring me to the saddest part. And there's I'm gonna bring something up because then I can bring something else up that's not good news, but we can do a spin on it. But I didn't get to make mention of this on Fat Man Beyond last night. But I don't know if you guys are familiar with internet history, but there was a time where there was this up and coming indie writer director who set himself up with a pretty interesting presence on the internet. He had set up a web board on his website where he could, if he chose, interact with fans, and fans could just speak to each other. Probably at the time, conceptually speaking, a lot of like what but Discord is today. You know, you can have it evolving into, you could have threads and people can
maybe even more like Reddit almost.
Yeah, exactly. Many ways. And you know, in the early days, for those of us that are true netheads in a fashion, you know, a lot of our communication was from families that we were establishing and developing, or groups and communities online. Well in advance of the pandemic, just, you know, people utilizing at that time the internet for good. You know, they have fucked that message up all over the place now. But back in the day, it was nice because you could get to know people. And in that community, there was, you know, a wonderful, kind man. And his name was John Wimmer. Had the greatest, if your name is John Wimmer and you're able to have the Wim as your social media identity, you already have my respect. But he was just the kindest, most wonderful soul who unfortunately recently passed. And, you know, he was the type of guy that who I, you know, didn't have a lot of interaction with, but I did have interaction with. And it didn't matter what social, and this is going to sound corny from this perspective, but it doesn't matter what social media platform I was using. He was always there liking the things that I made, liking the things that we do, so much that, you know, recently he had been in the hospital, and I knew at the time that, like, if I posted a video and I see a like from him, he's more than likely in a gown right now laying in a bed. So in those moments, I was still able to maybe provide a distraction for him, or he's able to let me know he's still a part of my life. Just an amazing guy. And his story is complicated. And after the fact, after this is posted, please do me a favor and go to the episode on smodcast.com, because I'll be posting the GoFundMe, because his wife now is both husbandless and has, you know, the typical, in the frustrating fashion, because how is it we're in the allegedly most powerful country in the world, anyone could potentially go bankrupt trying to keep their loved one alive? Okay?
Yeah, dude.
Sorry. Yeah, so that GoFundMe is going to be posted on the site. So please, if you see this has been published out there in the real world, or look in the description, come back and look at it later. Just, you know, anything you can do to help her recover from this devastating loss would be greatly appreciated. And with that, I will then transition to the fact that I have to report actually another loss that is ingrained in this show, part of its very DNA, Trent. I am sad to report that last year's record heat claimed the fabled peach tree.
What?
She is gone, my friends. There are no blossoms starting this year. Fruit died on the tree last year.
Did you go out and beat it?
See, no, Trent, that's what you do after they've developed into about the size of a nickel. So that way you're thinning the population so you can get a bigger yield rather than a higher quantity. So we're not even, there will be no putting a pool noodle onto a broom handle and going into the backyard and taking out every bit of life's frustrations on that poor God-forsaken tree. Who, by the way, spent many years feeding the squirrel and possum and bird population in our area. fed many a colony of ants in its day.
I mean, it was there, Will. It was there the day the Bobcat tipped over.
I would like to report
It remembered the day the Bobcat fell.
the pool is still standing, my friend.
The folklore that I feel is coming out of this conversation.
Oh man,
I'm just you're like, wow.
Look, Tony,
teach me.
You know what? In the largest reset in radio history, because you're supposed to constantly reset. By the way, don't forget, a little later on, we're going to be talking to Dr. Tony Steve, who's going to be bringing us his excellent macro level lasagna, and you're not going to believe what it's made with.
But first, let's cut over to
Steve with the weather. Don't forget, you're listening to KWILL. That's Quill 103.9. Anyway, in the longest reset ever, yes, let's do a call back. Tony, let me tell you about the story of the time. A bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, real go-getter had the belief in himself that he could do that which a contractor said you could just the contractor who cut the hole for the pool, by the way, right? And he's telling me, oh yeah, man, you could just rent yourself a little bobcat, a little skimmer, and you can just go ahead and backfill that yourself. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, he says. Tony, I had to rent 2 bobcats that goddamn weekend, and the reason why, it's a very interesting and amazing concept, which is a surface isn't solid until it's been packed. Okay? And I went just a little bit too far without packing quite enough, and the earth got soft, and the bobcat went into the aluminum side of the pool. And it was pretty much stuck there. Called my brother-in-law. He said, look, I can come tomorrow. Gonna need you to get another bobcat, bigger one, if you could. A little backhoe, whatever the hell they're called. Oh man. So he was able to come over and just leveraged it out, and he's like, I want you to get in this one, and you're just gonna pull back on this, and you're gonna pull back on this until I tell you not to. Then you put it like this. And I said, okay. These are binary choices. I understand. You say something, I go to position 1, then you say something position 2. I don't think we're at risk of heavy machinery going into a poolside with this.
No one ever thinks.
No, he was right, because I did it, and all I did was I was providing tension on the chain,
okay,
and he just kept jimmying it one way or the other, and then zipped out of there, went over all around, started doing fucking donuts and bragging and bullshit. By the way, he's a narcissistic asshole. I'd just like to, help me out in a bind.
Sure,
but,
sure, yeah.
Anyway, God, I could put that family laundry out there. Apologies. Got lost in the moment. But anyway, so that is why one of the levels over at our Patreon is a Bobcat driver. Because you get special perks because you're that kind of special.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
I was that kind of special.
It's not unlike a GitHub certification. It really shows your dedication to the cause.
Now, going to the history of the show, Tony, as long as you want to get into lore, I believe, if I am not mistaken, there have only been 2 opportunities where Trent and I have done this show in the presence of one another. That's my belief.
Okay.
It's 2. Okay. Now you think about it. You think about it. I'll tell you what I'm remembering. You say 3.
I say 3.
So it's been 3 times. So don't be jealous, Tony. But
Okay.
Shortly after I moved into this house,
Mm-hmm.
Trent and I were, as my wife said, like little girls giggling up there,
Mm-hmm.
and we did a podcast. We may have been underneath a mattress to dampen sound, or a comforter.
That's when your studio was in the basement or on the first floor still.
No, that was when it was upstairs in the second
Oh yeah,
floor.
yeah. Sorry, yeah. It's reversed
Okay,
now. Yeah,
so
yeah,
I remember that one.
yeah.
And then in one of the few times where my very remote connection to Kevin Smith was able to intersect with Trent's, he was for a while a proprietor of a brick and mortar comic book store. Had a dream, reached for it, reached for the stars, and in doing so, he had also won like one of those, get a message from Kevin Smith type of raffle things.
Mhm.
Right? That's what it was, right?
Yeah, it was a donation. I don't know if it was for the Wayne Foundation or something, but yeah, it was just a donation that I was like, oh yeah, I'll back that. I can do that.
Now imagine imagine you're Trent, okay? And he's like, oh yeah, I got a video for this. I get a text out of the blue saying, hey, is this your boy? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, and he owns a comic shop, right? At which point I'm like, oh, Trent's going to shit himself when he knows Kevin knows he got a comic book shop, right? I said, yeah. And he's like, instead of doing this video for him, does he want us to just like, I could do NetHeads and then Jay and I could do Get Old? At which point I'm like, gee, I wonder what he'd think about that. He's like, you think he'd be willing to do it? And I'm like, yeah, I am.
Yep.
And then
I think the answer would always be yes. no
Yeah,
matter
right.
what it
Exactly.
was.
And mind you, when I saw what we walked into, the lengths that Trent really went through, because basically he took his entire comic shop, which did have like shelves and everything, and all of his reasonable commerce was just jammed against every flat surface on the outside to put every possible chair in there.
Because it sold passed out.
Yeah, and I don't think, honestly speaking, he really got any sleep before I was at his door that morning saying, hey, just want to make sure you're cool. This is the timeline. It's the biggest day of your life. Don't fuck it up.
Yep.
A direct quote, because instead of being a caring friend, apparently I'm an asshole. But anyway, so Trent ended up getting his video message, and I was only allowed to put minor feelers out. I'm like, could you coordinate this? Could you do this? He's like, yeah. Oh, how many people could I see about? We could do this. So his message he gets is from Kevin. He gets the promised video, but it's like, hey, Trent, I got your yeho. We got to meet up, man. How about I do a live show from your comic book shop?
Yep.
What was that like, Trent?
Oh, dude, it was and to show the time, right? It was when you could send video messages, and then someone could like answer it and watch it later on Skype.
Ooh,
Oh,
Right? Yeah.
fancy.
Yeah, that was back in the day. Oh, dude, it was like still this day, and it's so crazy, dude. Like, I don't even think Kevin realizes the impact that it had in this area. Like, Salt Lake News came and covered it.
Right?
Which like to think of any California syndicate or news station or whatever going and covering like a signing or a podcast show, or I don't know, but like still this day I'll be like in the bar or something, and someone will be like, oh my god, you're the guy that was with Kevin Smith at that comic book. Oh my god, that was the best thing. I love Kevin. Like just people that I had never
awesome.
talked to before, but they're just like, and my god, I don't remember the numbers, but I know it was past the seats that we had, and people were just standing in the back. Like, it was insane. And a cool little thing as part of what Kevin wanted to do was he was still editing Tusk at the time. So he played the edit that he had up to a certain point for everyone on my projector to like see Tusk for like the very first time it had ever been shown to anyone. Like, it was, I mean, straight off his NLE, like his editor. Like, it wasn't even like an export. Like, we were watching the edit.
You're watching it off. Yeah. And by the way,
That's
too,
amazing.
I just got to say still, kudos and hats off to your brother, because this was like a 13th hour. It was fucking 12:01 on the readiness clock, if you will.
Yeah.
And he's just like, all we need are Ziploc bags and a Sharpie. Because you're showing Kevin's movie, so everybody's media had to be locked up. No phones.
Phones couldn't be allowed.
Nothing. And your brother was just like, shh, don't sweat, I got
No
this.
big deal. Yep,
Which, by the way,
pulled
too,
it off.
people often ask, what kind of person is Kevin Smith? Like, what is he really like? It's like, am I not allowed to look him directly in the eye and I flinch every time he gets too close? No. Again, I don't know what's with the triggering terms. I apologize. But I think this would sum it up, and I think Trent would agree. And I think the fact that I remember it especially after trying to drive my face into the asphalt of the court of my street. It shows the impact that it probably had on him because it had an impact on me. There's a lot of stuff going on, and Kevin and Jay are really they're just showing up to, really just do these shows. But the first thing Kevin does, I believe, is ask Trent if there's anything he can tag, right?
Yep.
And then we're trying to get everything set up. We're trying to get everything verified. He's trying to make sure that the NLE can play. I mean, it's fucking chaos. And Kevin just stops and said, "Hey, man, let's get a picture real quick." He stops to think and say, you know what? This guy's not going to remember anything about all of this scramble. Let's make sure he at least gets this one thing.
Yep.
And that's the kind of guy that Kevin Smith is.
Yep. Well,
You know?
yeah, totally. Like, and during that, because so many people that had come to the show brought things to be signed too, he hit play on his computer and then spent the whole time that the clip was running, and it was like a third of the movie at least. He just sat in the back and signed like a madman, just like sign, just so that people like could get all the shit. And there, like, everyone brought stuff. I was actually kind of like shocked, a little embarrassed, and blown away how much things people brought, and no big deal. He's like, we got it.
we got a time window, and just don't make me ask for stuff. Just keep shoving it along.
Yep, that's what it was. Yeah. Yep.
That's the machine of Kevin Smith signing, and he don't rest. He don't get tired.
That's
he just
awesome.
goes and goes and goes.
Yeah. Well, it's from the strong wrists.
He's got the Energizer Bunny energy. Let's just say that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was like that. If this show is, go ahead.
But there's one more that you're forgetting.
Okay, I am. Salt Lake
Fan
Comic
X.
Con.
Yep, there you go.
Or Fan X. Okay.
Yep.
But that was like more. Well, no, there was a panel thing, and I guess then there was NetHeads.
And we did NetHeads. Yeah, during. Yeah.
Okay, that's the third. God.
That's the third one. Yep.
Again, I tried to dive into asphalt. Everybody. You know?
Yeah. No, I'm not.
There's only so much the magic mind can do. There is, even it has it, but by golly, it's one of the things that helped me get through the day and not get confused and brain fogged. That's why I'm not joking when I bring it up, because like really, it's. If you guys want to know, let me peel back this one thing, and then there's two more points of a nostalgia at least that. Basically, as I anticipated, it's almost as though we have Tony tied to a chair and we're forcing him to listen to our stories.
Oh, I'm not
He's the celebrity,
this.
and we're Chris Farley, and we're like, hey, remember that time you did that? That was cool.
In a van down by the river.
No, man, that's the wrong bit.
No, but it's Chris Farley.
So,
okay, I'll see myself out. Thank you, guys.
Last year was not a good year for me, okay? Finding out that not only did I really hurt my brain without trying, but it didn't heal the way it should. It was troubling. Like I was realistically looking at things that I had touched a year before, and I recognized it was stuff I had done because it's got all the fingerprints, but I didn't remember how I did it. I didn't remember doing it. So it was very panic inducing, because one of the things that has always messed with my head, no pun intended, is like when as a kid you learn about the concept of like Alzheimer's, right? So wait, I've already got an existential crisis because you've basically told me I've been brought into this world to die one day. Thank you for that. Also, you're telling me that I could also completely lose my identity that I have now. Okay. Wonderful. Please, can I sign up for that? So that really had me freaked out. So Magic Mind really was a serious thing that helped me on my journey in recovery once it was identified. And the other thing too, this is the level I went to. Now, look, I wasn't using essential oils, okay? I want to put that out there. I wasn't like eating all raw food. Any of that stuff. Actually, that last one's a legitimate one. But what I did get into is and I got to tell you, there's a reason why you don't share stuff like this, because when you guys hear the name, you're going to be like, excuse me, what is this? But I believe it is like, I think it's like a peptide. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Something along those lines.
Yeah.
But the name of it is called CMAX. SEMAX.
Now, is it going to help your erection, Will?
No.
Because that's,
It
I mean,
helps.
I hear C-Max and I think of like Jimmy Johnson selling me something late at night.
I know. Believe me, I know. But no, 2 shots of this in the nose.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
And it too helps cognitive function.
Dude,
like, again,
yeah.
clearing up from brain fog. And I believe it or not, I learned about, please don't lose that thought. I read about this because I was reading about boxers trying other things for treating, all that cranial damage. But
Boxer
what were you going to say, bro?
No. I was just going to say, when I have been in life, when I've been found hormonal deficient in places, I've just done it's like a hormone fluid solution that nasal, and it was like actually helped a ton.
There you go. See, so sometimes all I'm saying is maybe don't get too entrenched in Western medicine, because like Eastern medicine and other things have been around for a long time. The mushrooms in Magic Mind, guys. This is not some secret they've recently unlocked. They're just like, let's put practical magic to work.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Boom.
and it's as we talked about earlier, there's a lot riding on the machine that is set up to make sure that you are going to the experts and engaging your insurance card to for all things, and making sure that there is something purchased every
look,
time
man,
you go.
I knew people in the pharmaceutical world, and I saw what their expense accounts were like. And I saw the tchotchkes they got to give out. Why? Because they want to make sure you, the doctor, remember to give out Smile X.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Okay, so suddenly everything went crazy and political. I don't know what happened. What I'm trying to do, though, is I do like rehashing the great moments. Obviously, there is not a cup of lemonade in sight of this desk.
Thank God.
But most importantly, too, like I kind of wanted to bring it up because Trent, you got to have the performance at the comic book shop, which was great. I don't know if you've gotten any other perks out of it. Maybe tickets to a comedy club once. That's all I can think of.
Yeah. I've gone and recorded, some video. When Ralph and Kevin came and did Babylon here in Salt Lake, I went down and shot that. And that was like the very incubatory stages of what video I was doing. So it was actually kind of like a boon for me to like give confidence that I could do it and like make stuff. So.
And Tony has gotten absolutely nothing out of this deal other than having to put up with me.
Oh no, I feel like I'm getting the story time like direct from the sources. So
and here's the thing too, the very child that made me late for this episode, there was a movement which I just recently went through because I had to decide. I'm like, it's about time I cut loose of, do I really need to keep the Stress Lemon domain? Is Kevin Smith ever really going to want that? He's got his handprints. Does he want? I own starringkevinsmith.com, which is an initiative. Not an initiative. It's nothing. But if somebody wanted to try and raise because you got to pay for your star. That's what they don't let the public know.
Yep.
So I'm like, hey, this because there was one thing that was like starring Adam West. They had, so I'm like, oh, I'm gonna buy this. Oh, it's funny. Back when domains were like $2 a month, and you could
so expensive now.
Yeah. Anyway,
Stupid.
I was going through it and I saw one of the domains, and you don't know about this, Tony, but well, you do know that both of my family has been completed through the process of adoption. And there was a movement that we were able to utilize on this podcast in its heyday of the early days of Sir, where lots of people were listening. And this is the reason why, if I put any extra effort, it's for like our Patreon subscribers, the people that they're willing to give a little extra for getting a little extra. And I don't mean that in just the commerce way. In my mind, that's a type of caring as well. It's like you bring me enough where I feel I can give you this in return. Meaning, anyway, we started a movement here, and it was a strong push that also made sure that we had an integrated Amazon Associates account, and it was the One More Wilkins movement. It was, I think the domain was onemorewilkins.com.
Yep.
And the tagline was help us grow our family by 2 more feet. Right?
Nice.
And in a concentrated effort over the course of a year, people made purchases through Amazon or just donated to things and really made a sizable impact on that cost, which, by the way, was not light.
Right.
And the type of thing where I had to be thankful we were working with the agency we did, because they had a presence in Texas, and because of that, it meant one less attorney fee we were going to have to worry about, because wherever they're licensed, they would pay for this or that. But it made I'll never say the number, but I am to this day both humbled and amazed at the amount that we were able to raise at a time where it really, really meant a lot. So if there are 2 things that I'm extremely grateful for in this podcast experience, and that is the fact that I have been able to develop a friendship with both of you. Okay? And there are many times, in many ways, where you do not realize the impact you have on my life, on my mental health, and on my happiness. The third thing I'm most thankful for is One More Wilkins. And that's how important you guys really are to me. And I mean that sincerely. If I spent no other time talking about anything else on this 400th episode of NetHeads, it would specifically be that I appreciate you guys more than you know, and you impact me in ways you can't even understand. So thank you very much, because the amount you have saved me in therapy, I have been able to buy so many 3D printers.
Well, no,
so many.
It's one of those things. It's like I personally don't like the term self-care, because it's been commercialized, right? It's been taken over by people wanting to sell you things, which is not self-care. I like the term, and it exists. It just, you kind of think about it. Intendment, right? You intend. You intend to your employees. You attend to your customers, right? So it's an internal taking care of, right? And I think self-intendment is so important, and talking is so important. It doesn't have to be to a therapist or whoever, but just talking, like humans are social beings, and without having those opportunities to just talk, it's good. I thank you. I want to throw out there, Will, if you remember, that same day that Kevin Smith was Father's Day, it was a Sunday, and that's also when you got news that you had, in fact, the 2 more feet were coming into your home.
Yes.
Man. It was that Father's Day, dude. I was getting ready for work the other day, and just that memory just flashed in my brain. I'm like, holy shit, that was a Father's Day. That was so, like, what the most memorable, like, gift of a father, like, dude, it was just aligned perfectly.
I know they say that the road to hell is paved with good intentions, but I really feel that the only true currency I have are all of my good intentions. And I can only think that when I even reflect on it at this point, I have successfully lived somehow an amazingly charmed life. I may not be monetarily rich, but I am dripping with wealth in many other ways. And, you guys are a part of that too. And you're right. There is something about talking. It's the reason why I prefer communication. I'm a remote employee. I prefer people to have their cameras on. I like that interaction. I like seeing face to face. I'm sure scientifically there is something about the amount of carbon dioxide that I am expelling, and I am free. I'm going through more air through the simple concept of aerobics. That's probably why you feel better, but also like every time, even when you're sitting here thinking, you know what, this mixer is screwed up and it's probably not even recording audio right now, you're able to be happy and you're able to walk out happy because you just had a good time. And that's the fourth thing that I would say is the most important about this. No matter what kind of mood I am in walking in, I walk out changed. And I hope that people listening to this, when they do, however they do, if they are enjoying it, it's because I hope that they just feel like you're just a part of this conversation that you're having with friends, only we can't hear you. You know?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you can keep yelling, but I can't.
Huh?
Okay, look,
Huh?
Zach Stewart, I'm sorry. I thank you for your years of support on Patreon. I can't hear you. I'm sorry. I haven't meant to be this rude for this long. I'm sorry. Tony, you've been getting talked over now for, I'm roughly estimating 30 minutes. Is there anything you wanted to say?
No, I mean, let's just say this. Z in the comments posted, it was, they think it was May 3rd of 2022 when I first was invited to join.
You've been putting up with this crap for nearly 3 years?
Yeah, but you gotta remember, 2022 into 2023, I was on only as needed, and it wasn't until this last year, which I want to say because of the Magic Mind. If you don't remember, you took that swan dive with the asphalt, and then started doing Magic Mind, and you were like knocking out episodes every single week for months.
Yeah, man.
And so you went into hyperdrive, even though you probably don't remember it. You were on fire.
The Magic Mind may have kept me on point, but honestly speaking, guys, that's one of the symptoms too. There's highs and lows, and
Yeah.
Part of the reason why I knew something was wrong is because every single evening my wife would be asking me why I'm being such an asshole, which it is more than an off time of the day than was anticipated, because I would get so mentally exhausted. You're just like, I can't, literally, I would just blurt out, look, I got to go to sleep. It's like, so what? We're all tired. Why are you so special?
Yeah.
Now I could go back and I could say brain injury, but now I can't,
Yeah. But I mean, even this last year, with you going through that, and I understand how much you appreciate just everybody that's been a part of everything, and with the chat and everything. Even with my life, last year was a rough year. It was a very rough year, losing my job, and my kid had to have surgery. And one of the mainstays that kept me going was knowing I would come on when Trent wasn't there. And then if Trent was there, I would have the opportunity to be able to sit back and enjoy the show. And it meant a lot. It really did. And, you're talking earlier about how, you producing Fat Man and Beyond, there are people kind of heckling and stuff because, you're not the normal producer. No one ever did that in the group. I mean, Fracking Cat, Z,
Miranda Janelle.
everybody, Miranda
Yeah.
Janelle are
Yep.
all I call as I count them as my friends because they've always been supportive, and we see them on fandoms.
Yep.
Or I see them on TikTok, and I can understand. You have some of the most amazing people that have been signed on to this since the beginning, and for me to even have a sliver of that experience has been amazing to me. So
Wow. You're welcome. But just so you know, in case you haven't noticed from the pattern, Trent's fully dialed in. You can sit there and just enjoy the show anyway, because the guy on the other end won't shut the hell up. Okay? I mean, seriously.
I've gotten better though.
I've been overwhelmed with life, so I haven't been recording Patreon exclusive shows. We've just been throwing, because if you're a Patreon subscriber, even at a minimum, you get extra audio in the beginning and in the end. As Tony likes to say, from both ends.
ways. Yeah.
But sorry, I forgot what I was thinking there. What is that? Oh, you're
Just
I don't-
it makes a connection.
whatever you're doing, don't.
It's
That's
an
not-
Eiffel. It just slam each other high fives like an Eiffel Tower.
There you
yeah.
go. Okay, fair enough.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
it's
glad
like
we
this.
could take it in the dirt one more time.
What?
Phrasing? We're just
take
not
it in
doing
the-
phrasing
I'm sorry.
anymore?
Squeeze me. Baking
We're
powder.
we're not doing phrasing anymore? Sorry, I got distracted in my mind, too, because I was thinking, wow, I haven't heard from Venator 2000 in a while.
Yeah. I wonder how he's doing.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
thank you very much to everyone that is listening now and has been a part of the journey for a long time, because this is, realistically speaking, a podcast that never knew what it was, never was constrained by any idea, and would just try and have a veiled attempt at owning up to its name of being a tech podcast. In many ways, we are just another element of the island of misfit toys on the internet, because we're almost there, but it's just not quite right.
Think of this, though. You guys have survived. You've lived longer than Skype has.
Oh shit.
There you go, man.
Yeah, true that. Well, and it's cool.
I've been in this business since it was ICQ, bitches. That's how we communicated with the audience, and we were just putting up stupid little pop-up things of their messages on the screen. God damn it, there was no video phone calls. There was no voice. Do you know when Trent called in for that first podcast, he never would have kept continuing if he had known it was literally a speakerphone with a microphone pointed down at it, so I could get his voice and I could hear him.
I literally called in, folks.
Yes.
It was on the phone.
The phone, that thing that you never
did it
use
sound
your
like
phone
an
for.
old-timey sound?
It could, actually, I think Trent can replicate probably what he sounded like.
Hello? Tuning in Tokyo. Hello.
Oh my God! Do you guys see the contribution that Tony just brought from a stupid configuration bit in the pre-show? And I'm just sitting here totally enamored. I'm like, that's it. That's the moment. Guys, don't forget, by the way, magicmind.com/netheadlt20. Get up to 20% off your first purchase, or potentially up to 48% off of that month subscription that you saw me curling over here. I'm just going to work on my back a little bit, I guess. Maybe
Keep
some
posture
slight,
straight. Yep.
right here.
Yep.
That's
Hips
one
aligned.
month of
There you
Magic
go.
Mind that I just whipped out right in front of you. Be sure to check that out. Improve your mental health with this mental power shot, man. Oh, I love it. And thank you so much, Trent, for putting up with me for well over a decade and a half now. We are probably coming up terrifyingly close to probably 2 decades.
Yeah.
Thank you for being...
We're on the back end.
Thank you very much for also being a part of my journey while I entered out of a random text message the periphery of Kevin Smith and being the voice on the other end of the line, not being mad because it was happening to me, but being excited because it was happening to us in many ways.
Well, and dude, like it's so, and you've always, I felt like, and Tony, I'm sure that you could attest to this. There's a sense of, I don't know what it is, just bonding over being, and this is what friends are about. Like, folks, when you know you've got a friend is when, like, it's like their joy is your joy. Do you know what I mean? Like hearing that the things that make them happy makes you happy as well. You don't have to experience it, but just seeing the level of stoke gives you that same, you by proxy, right? You get that same level of stoke. And so, like, whenever I get just like oh dude, check this out, or oh, this was kind of cool. Yeah, dude.
So
thank you.
So funny thing. So my kid has a heart condition. We ended up going on GMA. They sent us to the Guardians premiere back in 2023. And I will never forget this, because if you were to ask my wife what was the greatest moment of that entire thing, was when we're in LA, we're like, eating right before we get ready to go to the hotel and get ready for the movie. All of a sudden I'm getting a video message, and it's Will walking his dog, just talking about how proud he is of us, how excited he is for us to experience this. And I'm sitting there going, I love this man. And I think we ended up like FaceTiming you. And that was one of the most important things, was just the fact that someone was so happy for us. And exactly what you said, like there's no better
I don't remember doing that. No, I'm kidding. The joke I was going for is that, it's just like, that doesn't sound like the level of narcissism I usually attribute to myself. This
I'm sorry. Did I break character? I apologize.
No, this just must have been one of those moments where I was heavily medicated, because that doesn't. It's like, suddenly it has a just enough of the happy pills to where the nice Will finally comes out, kind of an inverse Hulk, if you will. But I'm kidding. It's. Yeah, I think I've made it very clear. You guys mean a lot to me. This podcast means a lot to me, not in the pursuit of anything, just in the the community that it has and the friendships it represents. So thank you guys, and thank everyone that for some reason has hung in with us for this long and beyond. So until next time, definitely will. Don't expect this type of level of three-wayism happening very frequently. I'm a married man, for gosh sakes.
Well, it's just easy because we're dynamite. We're TNT.
Okay, fair enough. Until next time, guys. My name is Will.
My name is Trent.
And I'm Tony.
And you know what? Just for old time's sake, we'll be back soon.